So, as I was saying, a little bit of context. This call was organized by the working group in Renaissance Explorers, working group led by Irina and with dearest Mark, myself, and Javi, who cannot be here today. So we put up a proposal for splitting the seeds milestone and creating a seeds commons. And we decided that it was not only a good idea to share that with the community before putting that up as an actual proposal, but actually organizing a Q&A session. So this is one of them. Don't know if there will be more. We'll see how this goes. So for the structure of the call, we will do firstly a round of questions, and actually perhaps Irina can share a link where we can each write our questions. Yeah, you haven't shared yet, where we can each write questions that we want to ask. And then it's for anyone who did the Tools for the Regenerative Renaissance course, it's the same process where we vote up those questions, and then we can just pick the questions that are most interesting for the whole group and answer those. And after a round of questions, we go to a round of reactions. And what we're looking for here as this exploration group who put up that proposal is any opinions, reactions, anything that you want to bring, any feedback that you want to bring right here so that we can have a conversation. And after that, I will hand it over to Irina and Mark, because there's no way I can both facilitate this call and comment on anything, because I will go insane, to Irina and Mark to react on those reactions and actually say what the path moving forward would be. Because since this is a proposal that has been put up by this very focused group, we really want to gather all the wisdom from the community, and we want to see how we can best integrate that. So in order to do that, we'll probably have a couple of questions to ask, but we'll see how that goes. So, okay, Irina shared the link. You can see the link in the chat for asking the questions. And yes, please ignore the test questions that are already there. We were testing this earlier today. Irina, can I hand it to you so you can give a little bit of centeredness and context regarding the proposal in itself?
Yeah, sure, Anna, thank you. As Anna mentioned, we created this small focus group of 4 people in Renaissance Explorers to create this proposal after a lot of people in seeds ecosystem came together for many times in conversations and workshop to come up with all sorts of ideas on the proposal, and those have kind of built up, been explored in different ways. And it was difficult to get up to something really focused and concise at that stage. So I kind of decided to put some more energy and bring some people and put like a lot of energy in small amount of time and come up with a proposal that everyone in the seeds community can look at, reflect on, and provide feedback. And here is where we are now. We created the proposal, we opened the proposal for people to see and comment and share reflections on. And thank you to all of you who have read it and shared your thoughts there. These are really useful. Just a few things about the aims of this proposal. So one of the first thing is just to kind of create a way to move the ecosystem in this time when there are all sorts of conversation about how we are actually allocating funds for people who are contributing to the ecosystem. And specifically for the milestone funds, these have been up to now managed and considered HIFA funds, which is now a conversation that is changing towards these being seeds funds and not only HIFA funds, HIFA being one of the DHOs or the contributors to the ecosystem, and not the only one, but others as well could join Haifa in their efforts of supporting the ecosystem growing further. So this proposal comes to support these new DHOs, these new organizations who are kind of putting their efforts together to further support the ecosystem, and how they can do it in a way that allocates funds, in a way that it's through a structure which offers a coherent way for the DHOs to work together. We have seen up to now that it's very difficult for even Haifa and Samara to kind of know like which what the other is doing and how to have like meaningful and good connection with each other. So from this context, we consider that introducing a structure where those DHOs come together and they share same space, they share roundtable, they share conversation and the process together. This moves us a bit closer in our way of actually start working together to grow this ecosystem. And another part is like how the ecosystem grows is by supporting, and the working capital actually is by supporting the seed sale contract, which needs to be done by all of us, all the DHOs together. So this is kind of the basis of how the proposal is being formed and the kind of the focus areas that the proposal is addressing. And yeah, that will be a bit of my context. Mark, would you like to add something?
What I'd like to add is that working together with Irina and Anna has been beautiful and wonderful. And I think that the Seeds Commons proposal document that you have all have read is in a very good state to refine and conclude. If we take the feedback successfully from this call, we may very well be able to put up a proposal for the upcoming new moon on September 6th. We're also looking for ongoing discussions in the Haifa community to make sure that we gather as much feedback as possible. So with that, I'd like to encourage everybody to go to the Slido link and start typing in questions so that we can then discuss the feedback. Some of the good discussion is already in the Google Doc. I'd like to listen for a little bit, and then I can present some of my responses to those ideas. But I'd like to, pass it back to Anna to facilitate. But my goal would be to receive information for, the next bit of time, and then look towards conversation and giving some thoughts as to what I think might solve some of the tensions.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Irina. Yeah, so I really encourage folks who have questions to ask to type them in the Slido. I see one question at the moment. Ooh, a second one. Thank you. And upvote, and even for folks who don't have questions to ask, go there and upvote the questions so that we know which questions are more pressing, more alive for the community right now. And the idea for, yeah, it would be lovely if you could add your name also in the question. That way we can answer them and know exactly who is asking the question, and maybe ask further questions to enlighten us. Okay, and the idea for the structure of this meeting is we don't have a lot of time. We only have 1 hour allocated. So I would like us to have maybe 10-15 minutes for questions, maybe more. It depends on how many questions we get. At the moment, we don't have that much. And then have a bigger chunk of the time for the reactions round. Because as I mentioned, the structure would be 1 round of questions, 1 round of reactions, and then we go to trying to integrate those into the proposal that is already in place. And the questions, the reason why I would like less time allocated for the questions is that it's because I saw in our proposal, in our doc, there aren't a lot of questions there. Actually, there are a lot of reactions, and questions can be, since we have this this Slido, we can take note of all the questions and answer them in an async manner. And reactions, it's a little bit tougher to do that async. So I thought it would be a better use of our time to actually have like human conversations in this allocated 1 hour. So let's start. The most voted question right now is the seeds commons formation. How can the DHOs be represented equally, avoiding a few DHOs dominating, or consistently represented from lunar cycle to the next? I don't know who wants to take on this question, Irina or Mark. I'll let you decide if you want the person who asked the question to specify something else. So Irina, Mark, go ahead.
I'm happy to go ahead. So let me see the question a bit. How can DHOs be represented equally? Okay, the current
I have
way.
one request for people. There is
Yeah,
a
sure.
graphic that Anna created called the Seeds Commons that shows 4 steps. It could be put up on the screen, or I kind of like seeing all the people, but if you want to share the screen, or if everybody can look at that, that way we can speak about step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and everybody knows what that means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Mark. That's a good idea. Hey, thanks, Anna, for sharing. Yeah, that will be a bit easier to follow through the beautiful infographic that Anna created. Okay. So how the DHOs can be represented equally? Actually, how the DHOs become part of the seats commons is through citizens vote. So DHOs will put up a proposal and citizens will vote. So if citizens feel like this DHO is providing something valuable for the seeds ecosystem, we want them to go further with their work, we want them to support them, then they will be voted and they will be part of the seeds commons. So every DHO in the ecosystem has the opportunity to put up a proposal and to be part of the seeds commons. How they will be represented in the seeds commons? It will be through 2 representatives from each DHO. So each DHO will designate 2 people, one external link and one internal link, and those 2 people will represent that DHO in the seeds commons. In this way, all the eligible DHOs that have been voted by citizens have representative in the seeds commons. And why 2 representatives? We thought that it's kind of 2 direction that representatives are looking at. So the external link, the first one, is actually looking at the interest of the seeds commons, at the seeds ecosystem interest in their DHO and how the DHO is responding to that. And the internal link is doing like the opposite, the interest of one specific DHO in the seeds commons. Let me see if I address the entire question of avoiding a few DHOs dominating or constantly represented from lunar cycle to lunar cycle. Yeah, so once DHOs are part of the seeds commons, they can be represented there, but it's that at any time citizen can just choose to not have the eligible DHOs there anymore if they no longer like what the value that specific DHO is creating. I feel that will answer. I'm not sure who answered the questions and if the person is happy with the answer.
Let me add a little bit as well to that topic. The seeds commons, when I summarized the tensions that I saw described in each of the documents as falling into 2 categories. One is concern with the possible centralized power of the seeds commons, and that includes this discussion of how does the seeds commons work? and that maybe there would be one organization that is too dominant or multiple organizations. And so tensions around the operations or the reliability of the Seeds Commons to achieve its goal. And the second was a topic that we'll get into later is concerned with selling seeds, how to do that in a collaborative and fair manner. So with regard to the DHO design, the Seeds Commons is an organization that will write its agreements and its policies. And what we are providing here is a base starting point. And so in this base starting point, as Irina described, there'll be an internal link and an external link, two individuals participating from each DHO. The DHOs are only there because the Seed citizens have voted them to be there. We don't want to keep pushing governance back to the Seed citizens except for when it's appropriate. So the Commons is given authority and it operates in this manner. Each person in the Commons, which if there are, excuse me, if there are NDHOs that have been voted in, each of those people, that would be 2 N participants in the Seeds Commons, each have a single vote. So everybody is equally represented in that manner. Additionally, if there were need to evolve how this whole process works, that would both be under the jurisdiction of the Seeds Commons to evolve, and then also the Seed citizens, if they collectively do not like the evolution of the Seeds Commons, the Seed citizens have the authority to designate change via proposals. So the Seed citizens are always in charge, and the Seeds Commons are their stewardship council that is set up to do the work in an efficient manner.
Thank you for that. I don't know who asked the question, so not entirely certain that the question has been answered. If it hasn't, please ask it again in the doc, and we'll try our best to answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to go to another question, which is, do we know where the tensions come from? Now, again, a little tricky not knowing the context for the question or who asked it, but I do. Does the person who asked the question wish to? Yeah, Paul? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was an anonymous blog. Yeah, as soon as I hear the word tension, I become interested, because the tension is between the humans, not between the structures. So I'm curious, what are the humans tense about?
You're curious as to what the tensions are about?
Amongst the humans, not amongst the structure, not amongst the documents, not amongst the ideas. What is the emotional tension between the humans?
Mark, Irina, do any of you feel called to talk about the tensions that brought this proposal up?
I would respond to that in the way that I summarized. People have concern with the sharing of the working capital. So that is a tension where someone who might feel like they're contributing and they would like a portion of the working capital might feel that they won't be heard and won't receive that portion. And then the other tension is really about, can we trust the structures that are being put into place, that they don't get overwhelmed or become unfair? So I think perhaps the tension, and if someone else in the audience would like to speak to a specific tension, that's the way that I have heard the tensions as me, the individual.
Thank you, Mark. I see a thumbs up from Paul, so I'm assuming that question was answered. I'm gonna go, I did not see that. 3 questions. One from Max. How are the seeds sold by the seed sale contract split? So many S's in that question. Mark, Irina.
Irina, do you want me to take the economics first? Okay. So as we know, we have a pool of tokens that are in the milestone, and these I've used the word that these are available to convert for working capital. And so this pool of tokens is a commons. It previously was guided by Haifa, and Haifa had the central authority onto how those commons were split, but now it's going to be guided by the seeds commons if this proposal were to go into place. So we're broadening the responsibility to a larger community ecosystem. Seeds that are sold in the milestones are going to then be turned into something that's a fiat-like, a USD crypto token. They may be other tokens, and this is, again, at the jurisdiction and decision-making of the seeds commons. When they become available as HUSD or as some kind of a crypto token, at that point, they will be distributed pro rata or something similar to pro rata under the guidance of the seeds commons for those who have been allocated portions of these funds. So for instance, to add some clarity, the seeds commons would become caretakers, stewards for 78.5 million seeds. And let's say 1 million of those seeds were sold. Well, the seeds commons then allocates that based upon what the seeds common DHO has decided is the fair way to allocate them among those who are sharing in those seeds. So we can get into more details, but it really is up to the seeds commons and the initial idea of pro rata or semi pro rata according to those DHOs that are participating makes sense, but you can't allocate 78.5 million seeds worth of equivalent sale prior to them actually being sold bit by bit. The actual allocation comes bit by bit as the sale takes place. Did that answer your question, Max?
Thank you, Mark. I assume yes, but I'm actually interested in the details a bit more just to be sure. So then in the proposal, in the funding proposal, it was said that the DHOs who present that proposal, they name a number of what they anticipate they need in total. And then the commons, they gather and decide on amongst themselves, like how much will everyone get by that monthly sale of the seeds through the contract. And like they decide however they want to split it. Does it make sense how I say that? Yeah, I know.
Let me be a little bit more clear, because the details are important, but the details are things that I am not author of. The details are things that the Seeds Commons DHO will be author of, but I can give you a little bit more detail as to how I think this goes. From my perspective, the milestone seeds have behavior. Reiche's discussions spoke to this. Nick mentioned discussions about that. These milestone seeds have behavior, and the behavior we want for these milestone seeds is that they are not competitively sold. So if there are 10 groups that each have some of these milestone seeds and they are selling competitively, then they will each have different paces or urgency that they want to sell, and that will drive the price down if those urgencies aren't in a collaboration. So the driving force for this is that those seeds are sold or made available for purchase in a collaborative manner. Some people and some DHOs may say, I would like to receive compensation as seeds. We are not currently looking to sell these seeds specifically for working capital. We have people that would like to receive these seeds for their compensation. The challenge there is that if a DHO is allocated seeds from this pool, and then they allocate it to their members, those members may say, I need to sell because I have an unexpected emergency. And again, we find ourselves in a competitive manner. So it's my proposal that we create a token that encapsulates this collaborative selling behavior. And that token is called an M seed for milestone seed. And so milestone seeds behave in a collaborative manner. They are sold via the global sales contract. The seeds commons is in control of the global sales contract and its personality. And the seeds commons is responsible for allocating M seeds. And wherever M seeds happen to live, they cannot be transferred in any way other than to the global sales contract. Those M seeds that are in the global sales contract represent the seeds that are currently being collaboratively sold. M seeds themselves are not available for commerce. M seeds themselves are available to join the collaborative sale. Reiki, I see your hand.
Oh, wow, that was fast. It wasn't. Is it right for this facilitator? Is it proper for me to speak right now, or should I respond later?
You can. I do not see hands. Thank you, Mark, for pointing that out.
Cool. Well, anyway, I was just going to respond quickly to that I think we can do it simpler without needing to make a new token. And instead, the seeds commons wouldn't actually take control of the milestone seeds. We would just send the milestone seeds to the sale contract, and the commons controls all of the HUSD that flows from seeds being sold. Does that make sense?
There's lots of ways to implement this. I don't think that's the purpose of this particular call. Yes, whatever is the most efficient and transparent and clear manner that achieves the goal that these milestone seeds act collaboratively.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, this would just change the proposal in the fact that the seeds commons does not control the milestone seeds. They control the sale contract and how we're pricing seeds and at what rate we're selling them and all that stuff, but they don't control the seeds themselves. So they can't send seeds out of the sale contract. Seeds can only be bought out of the contract. That's the difference.
I will
Thumbs up.
I will say that this is more of a reaction, and that we'll go into that in just a little second. And that would be actually part of the second part of this call, where we try to gather, the working group tries to gather reactions to try to implement them and integrate them into the original proposal, so that we don't have a lot of different fork proposals out there, just in the name of some sort of clarity and structure. So I'm assuming I saw your head nodding, Max, so I'm assuming your question was answered. I'm going to go to Julio's question, which is super upvoted also. Should seeds commons be allowed to share seeds from the milestone directly, or use an escrow token to manage that, like these seeds? Mark, do you want to take that one too?
I think we're going to have wonderful conversations about the technical implementation. The key point for me is to maximize collaboration in this process. I think that there's a lot of ways to implement this, that we can have a working group on that. The question for today is, do we feel that we have enough information to recraft and augment the Seeds Commons proposal such that we are ready to put it onto the September 6th New Moon proposal?
I agree with Mark on the technical aspects and discussions of it. And I'm going to go to one last question by Max, which is also upvoted. And I would like to also remind us all that this is, maybe I should have said that in the beginning to set the tone. I'm remembering to say this now. What we're trying to do here is have a sort of good enough proposal to be put into voting. That proposal and this system that we're designing is not meant to be perfect. And we cannot try to reach this perfection or this ideal point for every single person in this ecosystem. We couldn't even reach that between 4 people in this very focused working group. So we're not in that zone of this is ideal for me. We're trying to look for the zone of, yeah, that's good enough for now. I can live with that. It's causing no harm. Let's try this out, knowing that we can constantly, as citizens, evolve that. Even after 1 lunar cycle, we can put up a new proposal to evolve one of the parts of that, or to have more details put into that. So just focusing on that. The question by Max, who keeps the Seeds Commons from continuously funding each other and working in their own, in this case also shared interest, watchful citizens, interrogation mark. Irina, can I hand this over to you?
Yeah, thank you, Anna. I would say that the success of the Seeds Commons is the health of the ecosystem. So if the DHO in Seeds Commons are there only for their sort of a short-term gain, that will not help anyone, not even them, not even the ecosystem. And from the economical perspectives, nothing will change, nothing will evolve. So there will be no point for those DHOs to even be there and add their energy. So from my perspective, that's a sort of a win-win. If it works for Seeds Commons, it works for the DHOs, it works for the ecosystem, and the overall health and the sales contract and the capital, it's flowing. Of course, if there are like, I don't know, we don't like what the DHO is doing or how it's playing there, we can always change that through a vote. And I will mention here, it was a beautiful suggestion that Giulio came up with in a conversation we had yesterday about having part of the Seeds Commons, also some, not only representatives from the DHOs, but also maybe 2 constitutional guardians, which I think it's a very beautiful proposal. It connects with how the ecosystem will further evolve. So yeah, thank you, Julia, for that. That's an important point of how to have actually a voice of the community at the Seeds Commons table.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Julio for that as well. The voices at the table of the Seeds Commons are being given a level of responsibility and trust by the ecosystem. And so if we as an ecosystem believe and feel that we have created a stewardship council that is worthy of that responsibility, then everybody can smile and feel very good about where the guidance is going to come. There has to be, as Analo speaks about welcoming in the future voice of what is speaking to us now to be created, and that's the responsibility that the Seeds Commons ecosystem is taking on, that DHO. I imagine in the agreements of the Seeds Commons, it would speak very clearly to that spiritual, that consciousness attention of what is this group coming together to be. We can take a concern, attention to say, but what if the Seeds ecosystem, Seeds Commons becomes evil and decides to distribute all the money in a very evil manner? And if that becomes our attention, then we would probably want to discontinue the Seeds Commons and change something. We have to have a space where we believe in the governance of the whole and the representative capacity of a stewardship council. So these are really spiritual or consciousness questions in my mind that people are arriving for and taking on this responsibility with integrity, and that the governance will support that joyfully. To me, this is central to what the Seeds Constitution speaks to. Why are we here?
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to say that all the other questions that are in Slido, we will try our best to answer them asynchronously and provide the answers to this community throughout the week. And I would love to open now for a round of reactions, actually. And this round of reactions can be literally anything. It can be just very practical reactions and arguments, or literally, I don't feel like this is cool, and you tell us why. I saw a lot of reactions in the proposal, and a lot of people who reacted are here today, so I'm assuming that's going to be interesting. So many reactions that one of them created a whole different new proposal by Reiki. So maybe Reiki, Tyler, Julio, Max, the folks who commented on that doc want to start us out. You don't have to comment, you don't have to react. We're not going to do a round. Usually that would be nice in a smaller setting, but we won't have enough time here. So maybe the folks who commented on the doc and have reactions to provide here, take it away and pass it on.
Go ahead, Julio. I'm not sure if Anna can see your hand.
Oh, okay. So starting up.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have to say I really like the proposal. I think this is a very important step for the future evolution of seeds in actually seeing new organization structures emerging and having a kind of a hierarchy, you know, because nature has hierarchy. So we kind of fight hierarchy because we have this fear of hierarchy being evil and controlling people. But nature uses that all the place because it helps organizing, it gives structure and helps people see what's going on. So I really admire the effort that you guys did on this, and it's shaping up very well. I think the major concerns I have, I already voiced to Rina in our call yesterday, but there are not a lot of concerns. I think the main thing was that I still wanted for the citizens to have some kind of voice on how, and I think everyone kind of has this feeling. I heard this from Reiki and for Tyler and from other people, that the citizens should have some kind of voice in how much the DHOs should receive. Not only a council should be deciding, because otherwise we have this kind of middleman again that we have in the old politics. So and that's, I think that's the only remaining thing that I still see could be addressed somehow. And I really don't like the percent voting. I have already mentioned this lots of times, because the percentages voting don't carry intention. They don't carry enough information, just numbers. And it's very hard for people to, for the collective intelligence to actually be better used from that. So anyway, so don't want to dabble too much into that. I just want to say that I really like the proposal. I think it's shaping up very well, and I think it's safe enough to go for the next stage. I would definitely vote it up for September 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Julio. I've been told Tyler, Max, and Reiki have their hands up, so I have no idea who put their hands up first. So decide amongst yourselves.
Tyler's first. I can see from the list.
I think, oh, cool. Yeah, I share a lot of what Julia just said in terms of a lot of appreciation for the work done here, and a sense that it is safe enough to try. And if this were to go up, I'd vote it up. I think my initial reaction was just a bit of like a sadness around the way in which commons was being described, and the purpose of this commons was being described very, very narrowly, which I, as Anna responded to, I understand was an intent to keep this as focused as can be. But I do find it important, if we're going to frame something as a commons and start an initiative as powerful and significant as this, that we consider the real purpose of this beyond just the distribution of things we call seeds, because those things have value. HUSD has value. The the things those are used for have value. And I get a sense that this collective is much more interested in stewarding the health of the seeds ecosystem and economy rather than just distributing funds. And I think with that, there are lessons we can learn from other groups and kind of the history of how commons can be managed effectively that can be brought in over time to the governance and protocols here. And so, I really, I have a lot of trust that through the evolution of this, we can do that, but I just request that from the get-go, we embrace a bit more of a powerful purpose than just distributing funds. So that's kind of, that's one. And then second, and kind of related to this, I just want to presence, conversations that have been going on in Samara for the past couple weeks now around the notion of setting up a trust to really manage not just the funds of Samara, but actually serve as an entity, as a body with agreements and protocols that can serve anyone who's embodying the mission of what we're doing. And in that, there's kind of a core notion of what we're doing here is not just managing money, but finding ways to design systems and culture that support the actual flow of trust between people and organizations. And as was kind of flowing through the comments here in the chat, and from Paul as well, that trust is really at the core of some of the tensions and some of the fears that people have. Will this seeds commons become evil and take over the seeds economy, and will citizens be left out? That's about trust. Will the organization spend the money as they said they're going to spend it and not just convert it all into fiat and ruin the price of seeds? That's about trust. And so I'd also love to see elements of that being brought in over time. And I think, as the trust that we're working on in Samara develops, that's something that could be brought in, and lessons learned there could really inform the work we're doing here. Because I think if we try to mechanize everything we're doing here, we're going to run into the issue of dealing with complexity and designing mechanisms that aren't able to respond adeptly to that. But when the element of trust is added in, and there's kind of clear resonance built up around that, it allows for a certain degree of flexibility and fluidity that can allow us to deal with whatever comes our way. So that's all I got. Thanks a lot, Anna, Arena, Mark. Looking forward to hearing what else people got. And yeah, on the percentage voting thing, I think we can find a way to do both, but I'm not attached to it for this round.
Thank you, Tyler. Max, take it away.
Okay. First of all, I love what Tyler brought there. I think there is so much potential to build that even bigger and more beautiful. Just what came to me was like, really, if people want to put their properties into a seeds trust, that would be so cool. But anyway, so I very much appreciate what you did. It's so beautiful, actually. And I think I understand all of it, and I'm agreeing with all of it. It's all good enough to try. The only thing where I personally thought like we could pay attention already there is with the bringing in a bit more the seeds people into distributing the funds, because I mean, we should know by now that if we put people in control who also benefit from their controlling, then this is always good. And I have the trust right now for everyone, but if that grows, we definitely have to change that at some point. And so we could think about that. Now I already posted something, I believe, as an alternative there, but yeah, so that we look into how to distribute, how do we distribute the funds more decentralized. And one other thing that was kind of so important for me is the DHO part, that it's really clear what a DHO is and who can apply for that, because for now it's still kind of very vague. Yeah, but that's also not too important right now, and it will develop probably over time as well. So yeah, it's definitely good work, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Reiki, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Max. And also definitely thank you, Arena, Max, Anna, for putting this Sorry, Mark, for putting this all together. All right, so I already wore my economics hat, and I really love that that feedback was integrated. So that person is happy. My other hat is now the tech and the tools guy, and I'm looking at the tools that we're actually going to need to facilitate this and what the wallet's doing. So here's the current flow. I'm just going to go over it super quick. I'll be 2 minutes talking and then I'll be done. Is the Commons controls the HUSD outright from the sale. So that's the simplest way to start with it right now, until we can build in tools, whether it's voting, percentages, or whatever, to eventually decentralize the budget. But we could start off with the Commons having full control and then them using a poll or whatever they want to use to figure out the budget. Or maybe we do put up individual proposals to seeds or whatever, but the Commons members are the ones that get to decide how we come up with that budget to begin with, until we have the tools to decentralize it, which are coming right now. This also means that the Commons can become a do-it-self, so that captures some of that energy that's trying to be funding proposals in the campaigns that could be redirected towards the Commons do. It's totally okay if it's sold for its dollars, because we're giving them dollars equivalent anyway. We're not giving them seeds, which we don't want to be sold. We're giving them the revenue from seeds that were already sold. So it's totally fine if they then take it and sell it all to be able to fund their project. The tools we're talking about is we are building the voting tool to vote in constitutional guardians to give them authority to sign the multi-sig to change contracts. We can use that same tool to vote in the members of the Commons do. So we can vote who we actually want to be voting and governing the seeds Commons, and that could be given over to the citizens. So this is where we can have our Wisdom Council, who's focused on funding proposals. And then the Constitutional Guardian is the Wisdom Council that's focused on the technology. Are we able to implement this? Do we know the economics, etc.? While this, maybe we call them the Common Stewards or something like that. Their focus is more on what are we funding? It doesn't make sense for us to fund this and to manage the Commons funds. So you can use that same tool to be able to vote those members in. That's it. I said I'll take 2 minutes, so I'll actually stop at 2 minutes and I will pass it back to Anna. But either way, I just wanted to sum up, we're building both of those tools for us to decentralize both how we could do the budget and who is in control of the seeds do, or the Commons do that's being built right now. Okay. I guess
see Ari's hand.
Yes, Aribata, go ahead.
Yeah, so I will try. So firstly, I'll just start by thanking Anna, Irina, Mark for what a beautiful proposal. What a beautiful proposal. Reading it brings a lot of joy to my heart. It was very, 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 very elegant, very, very elegant. Other than that, I would like to build on where Brother Tyler was taking us on like the bigger picture, the meta picture. I understand the seeds Commons will be like very focused on the operation executive, and that's how I read it, and which is good because I want it to be focused. I want it to be operational executive and accountable and impact driven. And that is how I look at it. But at the same time, I would like to just bring up that what Tyler is already working towards the bigger meta picture, like the regenerative roundtable. That is where this all started from, right? Which is a conversation space that he's trying to create around this, because the seeds Commons within which like there are DHOs working, they are like say business, like they're trying to get work done. So in that they can get lost. So we need that conversational space and cultivate it so that we can bring the stories from these operational space out to the citizens, the larger, not just the two constitutional guardians, but the larger citizens, to understand how do we stop them in the tracks if they're going wrong, or at the same time understand more maturely, oh, they're doing well, and give these people, the operational people, an opportunity to hear what is alive for them, the citizens. And this is the thing that I think I'm just bringing it up there, that Tyler is working towards. I'm also supporting, Neela is there, and a lot of other people are there. So we will continue working towards that, because we need that kind of a rhythm to constantly review it, reflective process, while you are in the operation process where you have to focus. So I just wanted to let you know that this is happening. Another thing that I would like to point out is that it always comes down to the price of seeds, how we do that, inflation, the appreciation rate and all those things. Over there, I would just mention that I myself see there is something called as a Tesla valve. That is my own way of looking at things. It's basically how do I get more fiat into this ecosystem rather than leaving the ecosystem? So that's my goal of looking at it. How do I bring more fiat into this ecosystem than leaving? But the current way we have designed the seeds pricing, 3.3% appreciation, which has resulted in 1,000% appreciation in a year, is unbelievable. That is the reason I feel the buying pressure is lost. So this is something that has to be addressed, will be addressed. It will take time, but it should not stop you guys from what you guys are doing. And you should get the seeds to just release, because it is good enough for now, safe enough to try. And I have my good wishes, and I will support you guys in lobbying for you guys to make this happen, because I need to see how it works, because it's learning by doing. So thank you. Thank you for all that work you've done.
Thank you, Ari. So Irina tells me that Reiki has his hands up again. Do you want to go again, Reiki?
Oh, sorry, I never took my hand down. I just took it down.
Okay. Mark has his hand up. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. I wanted to, I was hoping Stephen Reed was still on the call, but I think he's dropped off. This echoes what Arya just said, is that the price of seeds and should the price of seeds be going up, and how should this work? These are deep questions that I imagine the Seeds Commons will be addressing and will be exploring. But it is germane, it is foundational to the design of the seeds ecosystem that there is a phase of time during which we are growing and bootstrapping together. And that's the phase of time that we are in now. And then there is a phase of time in the future, post go live, when the harvest protocols are generating the additional seeds into the ecosystem, that is manifestly different. And the original design is that the price increase in the value of seeds is related to this bootstrap development. It's related to how we welcome in and grow the ecosystem from birth up until it reaches that level of maturity and go live. So I think that when we speak about the ability to exchange seeds for money to buy food, to exchange seeds for money to do this or money to do that, we have to understand very clearly that this is a different phase of the development of the ecosystem than the phase when it is mature and stable. And so my personal view on this is that this is an area that the Seeds Commons will explore in more detail, and that this is why it's very important for the Seeds Commons to encourage collaborative behavior among the seeds that are being exchanged for fiat. And Paul asks who will be on the Seeds Commons. The Seeds Commons are, in the current design, are 2 representatives from each DHO. The DHOs are created, or are rather are empowered to participate in the Commons DHO. Those Seeds DHO are empowered to be there by votes of the global citizens. And then Julio has added, and I think it's the agreements, the spiritual agreements and consciousness agreements that the people in the Seeds in the Seeds Commons DHO are operating through, that there very clearly should be additional voices there beyond just the representatives of the eligible dues.
Justin has his hand up, apparently. Can you, okay, okay. We don't have a lot of time, folks. We have, apparently Justin and João have his hands up. Can you guys keep it really short? Justin, you go first, and then João.
Yeah, so thank you guys for the work and for the cleanness, and also, my words aren't really straightforward, so I'll be short though. My wondering is around the use of the word commons, and just being a word that we're saying, but also the nature of that being like principled or agreed upon, and actually its ability to be of service right now in this phase of seeds development. Oftentimes commons projects or organizations or models or even software DAOs that support commons are very specific, and it seems like we're introducing a a term and a model in ways that may actually be kind of counterproductive to things like DHOs. It's not really true, but I wonder, like, I don't know how to have that conversation, but I want to make room for that, because I feel like the organizational model and the function of the organization, I'm just that definition, also the clarity in that conversation. I feel like how do we engage in that conversation before a commons or this kind of concept becomes reality? Is it through the doc? Where do you go from here, I guess, in a way? And how do we bring further conversation? Yeah.
Thank you, Justin. I see João doesn't have his hand up anymore. We only have 1 minute. So I'm just going to say that some last few words from myself, Irina, and Mark. I absolutely love these conversations. I am absolutely passionate about this ecosystem and coming up with ways of improving, evolving, and making this ecosystem alive and healthy. And I'm loving this process. Thank you all. Irina, I'll pass it on to you, and you can pass it on to Mark for some final words.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for the contribution and for looking closely at the proposal and appreciating the efforts that have been put there, and also the feedback and the input. It's extremely useful for us in going further together. So thank you. Mark, to you.
I want to thank everybody as well. And I want to acknowledge the arrival of Paul. I had a wonderful Zoom call with him, and I just feel that the timing and that the conversations that are taking place here are really profound, and we are growing and maturing together.
Thank you all. I just answered to Tyler in the chat, and to everyone, all the questions that were left unanswered, either in the slide or in the chat. I will save the chat. Also, we'll try to answer them async, and please keep commenting on the doc, and we'll keep answering over there or in the Discord channel. So that's it from us. We are right on time. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being so passionate about this ecosystem and about this proposal. You can unmute yourselves if you want to.
Anything, Sheila, Claire?
Oh,
Bye.
Thank you.
Yay.
Bye.
Beijo.
Adios.
Beijo.